Hey, what's up, guys? So, an interesting story came around my desk here. CNN posted that in California they did a gun buyback, and two of the items that they recovered in the gun buyback were two rocket launchers. In particular, it was one M72 Law and one AT4 rocket. Now, when I say rocket, I'm really just referring to the empty tube. Both the Law and the AT4 are fire and forget. Well, not fire and forget in that sense, but fire and ditch the tubing. It's considered ammunition, it's not a weapon. So when you fire the tube, it's done. The tube becomes worthless, leftover. It's not reused, it's not reloaded, it's not reconfigured, it's done. A couple of things that were said during the interview that I found particularly interesting were you had Lee Baca, who I believe is the sheriff at one time, and he made the comment, "We look like we're in a third world nation when we see all these weapons laid out." Yeah, it's true. They pulled around seven what they call AK-47 military pattern assault rifles, right? In reality, sporting rifles fires 223 at the largest 308 caliber rifles that are used for sporting, hunting, what have you. The reporter said these rocket launchers were U.S. made and owned illegally, and that thankfully no rockets were in them. So I just want to point out that these rocket tubes, spent rocket tubes, are available on eBay. They're available on Gunbroker. You can find them at gun shows. They fetch anywhere from like $150 to buy one. Now, what did the individual get for providing those two rocket tubes back to LA County in California? They got $200 in vouchers. So it's entirely possible that you could go to a gun show, stock up on these empty tubes for $150 a pop, and then turn around and sell them back to California in the LA County and make yourself a tidy little profit. At one point, reporter talks to somebody named Aaron Cohen, who is labeled security specialist, and he had a couple of quotes that I got to repeat because they're just so crazy. He says there are way too many weapons out there on the streets. Okay, way too many weapons for who? Who says there's too many weapons? Why is that ever a thing? Like, why is there a count? Where did the count come from? And who is the smart person that came up with the count? It's completely arbitrary. It's just to create fear-mongering, making people scared of something that's truly not something to worry about. He says the system for issuing them has gotten out of control, these weapons. Really, the system for issuing them has gotten out of control. There's nothing wrong with the system. If anything, the system is too restrictive and restricts our Second Amendment rights. And lastly, he says, we have to look at the entire system for giving handguns out. And because of this system, it all leads to an overly armed America. That's really the key point, right? When you have a article like this that points to how armed we are and how scary it is, and we got to get these guns off the streets, and too many people have guns, and we're just too overly armed in America. That's pushing the idea that at any moment, like, we're a powder keg and we're just going to explode and there's going to be murders on the streets. None of that's happened. None of that's happened in the past when we had fully automatic weapons or was able to purchase and build just about anything we want. We have more control now and more restriction, and the only thing that's happening because of that more restriction is people who know places are gun-free. That's where they go to kill people. That's the thing that we're seeing in the news. We're not seeing any of these massive gun-on-gun violence of neighbor-to-neighbor fighting or fighting in the streets because of, road rage. It's just not happening. There was a little give and take there at the end between two people in the newsroom, and one said, "I'm sure you can't just buy a rocket launcher in a store, can you?" And I labeled him moron number two. The woman says, "No, you can't buy them. Not on eBay, for an example." And I found like multiple auctions where there are tubes available on eBay right now. And further, they're available at Gunbroker. They're available at gun shows. You can get them all over the place. They're not illegal because they're worthless. It's a tube right now. I think it costs the military $600 to produce one of these AT4s, or they don't use laws anymore, but the AT4s, and it's $600 for them to purchase it. They fire it and they throw it on the ground. They're done. It's not a big deal. And lastly, the comment was, "So this must have came from overseas." Well, what if it did? That's where they're being used. That's where they would come from. These empty tubes would probably get shipped back and be sold to people who are interested in them. It's an antique. It's thought of as like a collectible in some cases. why is it that we have this like elitist mentality of this Aaron Cohen folks and these reporters that are just dumb, I think. But like Aaron Cohen, for example, he's got this attitude where, he's the anointed and he should be the one that allows who can get what, and he needs to be somehow involved in the rules that govern who can have what at what time. That is a form of classism, racism in some cases, and it leads to despotism and tyrannical governments. That's really what it does. It comes from this elitist personal belief that you deserve something and other people don't, or you're scared of your other individual citizens and you don't trust them, so you want to control them because you don't trust them. You're the selfish one. You're the jerk. You're the one that's irrational and paranoid. You being Aaron Cohen, calling you out directly, and people who think like you. It's a dumb article, and I'll post the link to it, and you guys can go check it out for yourselves. All right, take it easy.